couldn't really accept that or understand it. And then all of a sudden I was numb. I never understood what it was to physically feel numb. But that day I was like, I literally don't feel my body. And then the first thing I'm thinking is like,
over 5 years, and then cheated on her, dumped her, and then now she is broke and damn near about to be evicted?
Listen, the tea just officially boiled over into a nuclear meltdown because the moment we thought the cheating scandals were peak chaos, a bomb dropped that redefined the entire disaster. Initially, it seemed like just another baseless whisper, some faceless internet tea with zero receipts or credibility to back the claims. However, the streets started mattaying and suddenly the dots connected into a picture that looks anything but accidental. The allegations are screaming that Angela Simmons is expecting a child and the daddy is supposedly none other than Todd Tucker. This gets even more sinister because the news didn't just hit the blogs. It allegedly landed straight in the lap of Kandi Burruss. A mysterious dossier. No source, no context, just a lethal dose of data that allegedly provides the missing pieces to this puzzle. When she clocked it, the mask didn't just slip, it shattered. We aren't witnessing some graceful exit. This is a high-definition breakdown, or raw viral broadcast where the trauma finally took the wheel. Fury, heartbreak, and clarity collided. With a trembling voice and venomous delivery, she suggested this wasn't a plot twist, but a long-term production happening behind her back. Now the math is looking absolutely treacherous. While one union was publicly flatlining, another situation was reportedly thriving in the shadows. If that's the case, we aren't looking at a breakup. We're looking at a crossover. This was a calculated transition, a repetitive cycle that's impossible to deny. Now tell me, was this baby the hidden motive that detonated the marriage or just the evidence that the flame had died out years ago?
We saw he gave you some flowers.
yeah, they were really nice.
So y'all not together or nothing?
No.
He shot his shot though.
He's a nice guy and I'm flattered by everything, but we're not.
The timeline doesn't just look messy. It looks calculated. We're talking 3 major stars, 2 high-profile relationships, and a single window where everything starts to implode simultaneously. When you actually map out the dates, the travel, and the sudden radio silence, it stops feeling like a coincidence and starts looking like a blueprint. While the world thought Kandi Burruss was simply walking away from a failing marriage, the streets say she was already clocking something much more sinister. It wasn't loud or obvious, but it was consistent. Late nights that didn't align with his stories. Conversations that sounded like a script. Energy that shifted without a single word of explanation. At first, it stayed low-key. No messy captions, no public shouting matches, just a mounting realization that the math was not mattaying. Then the bomb dropped, an anonymous dossier. No return address, no music, clear source, just a devastating claim aimed straight at her heart, alleging that Angela Simmons was pregnant. And the kicker? The child is allegedly linked to Todd Tucker. That was the catalyst for the ultimate shift. We aren't talking about some typical cheating whisper. This was a level of drama that, if validated, proves the situation had spiraled way past anyone's wildest expectations. It implied a massive amount of time, premeditation, and continuity, not just a one-night stand, but a whole secret season. Insiders are claiming Kandi Burruss didn't just lose her cool immediately. Instead, she moved like a detective, cross-referencing the receipts, auditing the timelines, and re-examining those random moments that never sat right. The deeper she dug, the more the coincidences vanished. We're talking private industry links where paths crossed away from the cameras and schedule gaps that miraculously mirrored each other. Separately, they were glitches. Together, they were a roadmap. And that roadmap led straight back to 2 names constantly appearing in the same restricted zip codes, Todd Tucker and Angela Simmons. Meanwhile, a secondary plot was quietly peaking. While Angela Simmons was still technically linked to Yo Gotti, sources say the vibes had already gone cold, less visibility, fewer tag team appearances, and subtle energy shifts that didn't ring alarms back then, but now they feel like the ultimate red flag.
Are going through, we are parents together, we are co-parenting together, we have beautiful children together, so we are trying to make this transition as smooth as it can possibly be.
That's where the receipts start to overlap. We aren't looking at a breakup followed by a rebound. We're looking at a full-blown dual timeline. If this alleged overlap is the real deal, the story shifts from moving on to moving in while the ink on the marriage license was still wet. Insiders are painting a picture of a secret world where these two didn't need the red carpet to connect. We're talking low-key industry hangs, private VIP sections, and off-the-grid vibes where they could build a connection without the paparazzi or the public breathing down their necks. This isn't tabloid noise, it's a strategic play made in the shadows. But the silence officially shattered when Kandi Burruss hit that go live button. Forget the PR-approved statements and the polished interviews, this was a raw, unfiltered emotional reckoning.
I am up and down. Obviously, going through a divorce is definitely not the easiest thing. Sometimes, you're cool, you know what I mean? You move in, you mix in, you move in, and you're hanging out with friends. But then sometimes you have your moments of sad.
Her delivery was anything but vague. It was stone-cold conviction. We're talking years of frustration suddenly clashing with the ultimate realization, statements that didn't need to name names because the subtext was screaming. She wasn't just dropping receipts, she was dropping raw, unfiltered trauma. Honestly, that hits harder than a screenshot because her energy proved this wasn't some fresh shock. It felt like the final piece of a puzzle she'd been forced to solve in the dark. That's why the internet melted, not just because she was emotional, but because it felt like a confession without the fine print. Meanwhile, all eyes pivoted to Yo Gotti. His response? Calm, collected, and suspiciously unsurprised. Insiders are claiming he basically hinted that he'd smelled smoke long before the house caught fire. If he was already on high alert, it suggests multiple people were watching the same shady pattern and just waiting for the mask to slip. There's no official statement yet, but the alignment is looking absolutely criminal. The real question is no longer if something went down, it's how long the deception was actually running. If these links were active before the public split, then every happy moment we saw was nothing but a high-budget performance.
Threesomes never work. That's not true. I done had a threesome and it worked just fine. It worked great, actually. Anyway, I feel like it's the communication.
Little pussy's just hot. You did.
What are you talking about? I'm just saying it's the communication on it all.
What makes this absolute train wreck impossible to ignore isn't just the noise, it's the math. The second that alleged pregnancy entered the chat, the timeline didn't just move, it locked into place with lethal precision. Every red carpet appearance, every busy night, and every sudden shift in energy is now falling into a pattern that's clearly been brewing way longer than the public realized. At the dead center of the storm, three names are on a loop: Kandi Burruss, Todd Tucker, and Angela Simmons. And the more you audit the behavior, the less it looks like a coincidence. Insiders are now dropping tea that the ice between Kandi Burruss and Todd wasn't a sudden freeze, it was a slow, calculated drift. Fewer tags, shorter calls, and that specific type of business-only energy that looks super suspicious in the rearview mirror. Meanwhile, Angela Simmons was playing the same rhythm, dodging the spotlight in certain circles and keeping her digital footprint suspiciously light exactly when you'd expect her to be outside. On their own, these are just glitches, but side by side? The timing is terrifying. While one marriage was publicly flatlining, a secret union was reportedly thriving in parallel. This isn't a moving on story, it's a when did it start investigation. Then you have the setting. Sources are pointing to those invitation-only industry events and high-security private hangs where familiarity builds behind closed doors. That's where this alleged connection reportedly turned into a full-blown situation, quiet and uninterrupted, right under our noses. Meanwhile, all eyes are back on Yo Gotti. If Angela Simmons was still technically his lady during this mess, his role in this disaster is everything. Insiders are whispering that his vibe wasn't shocked, it was suspicious, as if the receipts finally confirmed the side-eye he'd been giving her for months. If that's true, it means the red flags were waving on every side of this triangle. No big blowout, just a quiet realization that the math was failing. But what makes this nightmare impossible to ignore isn't just the whisper, it's the sequence. The second that alleged pregnancy entered the chat, the timeline didn't just expand, it locked in with lethal precision. Every missing hour, every work trip, and every cold shoulder is now falling into place like a script that's been running way longer than we knew. At the dead center of the storm, 3 names are on a loop: Kandi Burruss, Todd Tucker, and Angela Simmons. And the more you audit the behavior, the less it looks like a coincidence. Sources are now dropping tea that the distance between Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker wasn't some sudden glitch. It was a slow-motion exit, shorter calls, less shared time, and that specific type of roommate energy that only makes sense once the truth comes out. Conversations became clipped and clinical, the kind of red flags that don't trigger an alarm immediately but look like a house fire in the rearview mirror. Simultaneously, Angela Simmons was operating on the same frequency, avoiding the usual hotspots, picking her appearances with surgical precision, and going radio silent on the gram exactly when the timeline needed an update. It wasn't a total vanishing act, just a strategic retreat. Individually, these glitches prove nothing, but when you lock them together, the synchronization is terrifying. While one union was publicly cooling off, another connection was reportedly catching fire in the shadows. That possibility flips the entire script. This isn't a story about what happened after the breakup, it's a forensic audit of whether the exit plan was in motion before the for sale sign ever went up. And let's talk about the environment. Sources are pointing to those high-security industry hangs and private VIP gatherings where the cameras don't reach, controlled circles where familiarity grows in total darkness. That's where this alleged link reportedly turned into a lifestyle, quiet, consistent, and completely uninterrupted. Meanwhile, let's check the temperature on Yo Gotti. If Angela Simmons was still technically his queen during this period, his placement in this disaster is vital. Insiders are claiming his reaction wasn't "what's going on?" It was "I knew it," as if the details finally verified the suspicions he'd been sitting on for months. If that's factual, it means the awareness was a 360-degree view. No public blowout, just a cold realization.
We've done together.
Right. Which I thought we was always doing so together, and then you tried to cut me out.
I create a lot of things that I don't care that I don't get credit for.
Okay.
Anything I create, Kandi, da-da-da-da.
So
you want...
I do not really some weird words.
What makes this disaster impossible to ignore isn't just the noise, it's the forensic math. The second that alleged pregnancy entered the chat, the timeline didn't just move, it locked into place with lethal precision. Every red carpet appearance, every busy night, and every sudden shift in energy is now falling into a pattern that's clearly been brewing way longer than the public realized. At the dead center of the storm, 3 names are on a loop: Kandi Burruss, Todd Tucker, and Angela Simmons. And the more you audit the behavior, the less it looks like a coincidence. Sources are now dropping tea that the ice between Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker wasn't a sudden freeze, it was a slow, calculated drift. We're talking fewer tags, shorter calls, and that specific type of business-only energy that looks super suspicious in the rearview mirror. Meanwhile, Angela Simmons was playing the same rhythm, dodging the hotspots in certain circles and keeping her digital footprint suspiciously light exactly when you'd expect her to be outside. It wasn't a total disappearance, just a strategic reduction. Individually, these are just glitches, but side by side, the timing is terrifying. While one marriage was publicly flatlining, a secret union was reportedly thriving in parallel. This isn't a story about moving on, it's an investigation into whether something was already in motion before the for sale sign ever went up. And let's talk about the environment. Insiders are pointing to those invitation-only industry events and high-security private hangs where the cameras don't reach, controlled circles where familiarity builds in total darkness. That's where this alleged link reportedly turned into a lifestyle, quiet, consistent,
John,
and
let me talk to you for a
completely
second.
uninterrupted.
I had to ask you about
All of this
something
is
that
getting back to Yo Gotti. If Angela Simmons was still technically his lady during this mess, his role in the disaster is everything. Insiders are whispering that his vibe wasn't shocked, it was suspicious, as if the receipts finally confirmed the side-eye he'd been giving her for months. If that's true, it means the red flags were waving on every side of this triangle. No big blowout, just a cold realization. At the dead center of the storm remains Kandi Burruss. Sources are now describing her response not as some random outburst, but as a total breaking point, the moment where every lie, every weird work trip, and every inconsistency finally mathed into a truth she couldn't ignore. That anonymous report didn't start a new rumor, it allegedly validated the nightmare she'd been piecing together for months. This distinction is vital because if her reaction was based on confirmation, then the rot was already there, already noticed, and already questioned. This circles us right back to Todd Tucker and Angela Simmons. Their alleged connection isn't being framed as a one-night mistake, it's being described as a slow-burn situation built through constant proximity, shared industry circles, and mirrored schedules. We're talking about interactions consistent enough to build a bond without triggering the paparazzi, not a fluke, but a lifestyle. That's the real kicker, because a sustained connection requires time, opportunity, and a level of continuity that makes the isolated incident excuse look like a joke. At the same time, yet another layer of this mess is starting to demand our full attention. Yo Gotti. His placement in this mess creates a whole second storyline. If his alleged suspicion came before the public explosion, then his reaction isn't about being blindsided, it's about being proven right. That implies the clues were already there, scattered in pieces for anyone paying enough attention to see. Again, we don't have a signed confession, but the way everything is lining up is terrifyingly consistent. We're talking about overlap, not just on a calendar, but in two different realities. One relationship was playing its part for the cameras while another was reportedly being built in the dark, maintaining a perfect public image while the internal foundation was shifting. This duality changes everything because it proves that the official story was just a performance. When you look at it through that lens, every old interaction stops looking routine and starts looking like a move. Every neutral silence now feels like a calculated secret. Every sudden decision now looks like the final stage of a plan that was finalized months ago. Then we have the moment that truly lit the fuse, Kandi Burruss going live. She didn't need to post a single document because her energy said it all. The absolute certainty in her voice proved she wasn't reacting to a maybe, she was responding to something she already knew was a definitely. That's what made the internet go crazy. In the world of tea, tone is everything. It signals a level of conviction that forces everyone to look past what's being said and focus on what's being implied. Now, the whole situation is trapped in that blurry zone between public spin and private receipts. The same questions keep circling not because we're lost, but because the full truth is still being gatekept. If that alleged pregnancy is real, it's game over. If it's not, it's still the spark that forced us to look back and realize nothing was what it seemed. Either way, the damage is done because the narrative has shifted, and once that happens, it doesn't easily return to what it was, which leaves one final consideration. If this entire situation has unfolded in layers, each one revealing more than the last, then it's possible that what is currently visible is not the conclusion. It may be the midpoint. And if that's the case, then the most critical details may not be what has already surfaced, but what is yet to be revealed. And just when it feels like the story has reached its peak, it flips again. Because this isn't closure, this is escalation. What started as quiet suspicion has now turned into a chain of claims that refuse to settle. And the silence from those involved is only making it louder. No clear denials, no full explanations, just fragments, reactions, and a timeline that still doesn't sit right now. The audience isn't just watching, they're dissecting. Every clip is being replayed. Every past moment is being reinterpreted. Every gap in the timeline is being treated like evidence. And the more people look, the more this starts to feel less like a coincidence and more like something that was always building toward this exact point. Because if even part of these allegations hold weight, then this wasn't a sudden collapse. It was a controlled unraveling, and that changes everything. It raises questions about intent, about timing, about who knew what then when. Because reactions don't exist in isolation. They follow awareness, and awareness doesn't come from nowhere. So now the pressure shifts not onto what's already been said, but onto what hasn't. Because the longer the full story stays unrest, the more space there is for speculation to grow. And speculation, when fueled by patterns this consistent, doesn't fade. It expands. This isn't just about relationships anymore. It's about perception. It's about credibility. And it's about whether what the public saw was ever real to begin with. So ask yourself this. If the timeline still feels incomplete, if the reactions feel delayed, if the pattern keeps repeating, then are we actually at the end of the story or just at the point where the truth is about to get even harder to ignore?